With 6 of the 10 Eastern Series events complete, the race for the championship is still up for grabs. A mere 60 points separating the top 4 drivers. Without a win this season, Rob Fellows leads the points with consistent podium finishes and fastest qualifier points. Kenny Wilden posted a victory in Montreal this season and second place in Toronto to maintain second overall in the point standings. And Richard Spinard, the defending champion, has 3 victories this season, but that's only good enough for third place in this year's championship battle. The young Lion, John Catman Jr., scored a victory in his last race at the Toronto Indy. He stands 4th in the championship. Today, round 7 of the Players Limited GM Motorsports Series here at the Cayuga Oval, where anything can happen. This is the GM Motorsport Hour. Brought to you by Players Limited, General Motors of Canada Limited, Quality GM Parts, the expert choice, and by Sony, the one and only. Hello, I'm Jim Polson, and for the 25th anniversary year, we're back in the big oval here at Cayuga. Terry Betts is on the pole. He was 6th fastest. 1/1000th of a second, if you can believe it, is what got him this position here. It's amazing, actually, what happens in the qualifying rounds on the oval. Do you want to go for being in the front, or do you want the points and the cash for being the fastest qualifier and end up on the 3rd row? I wonder what they think about it.
My strategy has been to qualify on pole, get the points, and be confident enough in the car that you can move up through the pack. And I think at Cayuga, that's a possibility. It's a little more difficult to do at a track such as Toronto Indy, but at Cayuga, if you have a very fast car and you're patient, there's enough time to move up.
You can't just, sandbag. If you have a good car, you have to show your mechanics that they did a good job and do the best you can with your car, especially on the oval, because everyone knows on the oval the mechanics has a lot to do with the car setup. And I couldn't just sit back and say, well, guys, the car is good, but I didn't try very hard. I don't think they would like me very much this morning. Hopefully, I'll be able to win anyway, but it's going to be tough.
We're always trying to get the pole and then take our chances in the race. And, it's pretty critical here because everybody's running close together for the start. You don't want to be caught up in anything in the middle of the pack, and it's real close going for the first few laps. So I think to be in the top 6, you've got a good chance to win. And all the guys that are in the top 6, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a heck of a race with the way it's lined up. So it should be fun.
So there's no question you want to be one of the fast 6 on this oval at Cayuga. But what happens if you are not? Well, then you become involved in the last chance race. And this one turned out to be rather interesting. Now, in the last chance race, we have all the drivers who did not qualify in the top 6. They're lined up by their qualifying times from 7th through 21st, the rest of the field. It really gives these competitors a chance to improve their starting position by virtue of an actual race here. Now, we had Normand Boyer, 7th fastest. He's on the pole. John Cadman Jr., he was 8th fastest, starting beside Normand. And, of course, Cayuga being John's home track, it inspired John Jr. and John Sr. to perform well. The wet weather was a bit of a problem. You'll spot that on windshields here in a moment. But it made conditions hazardous. Chris Davies' pursuit of Claude Poirier, for example, you can see how close even this qualifier was. No one was here to lose qualifying positions. If anything, they wanted to improve on what had happened earlier in the real qualifying runs. Now, obviously, at the beginning of this qualifying event, the action was very hot and heavy. And now we have Robin Buck, his turn to challenge Poirier. But the weather conditions are not improving. That wet weather, of course, always a concern at any oval event. They'll allow a little bit of damp on the track. And, of course, with the showroom stock cars and the tires they're running, even more of an opportunity to continue racing than they would, say, the stock car crowd. Robin Buck's even got the windshield wipers on here to at least wash some of the rain away. John Cadman Jr., though, dominating way out in front, an easy victory.
Well, if last year's event here in the Oval at Cayuga was any indicator, we know it's going to be a hard-fought battle again in 1991. It's already being pretty hard-fought for the overall leadership in this series. Let's have a look at the grid, and here's Eric Hollow.
Thank you, Jim. 21 drivers will start today. Ron Shell brings his Poplar Grove Camaro into row 11.
French TV and radio personality DJ Scrannon with his first ever Oval start. He's in row 10.
Another Oval rookie is Paul Duckworth. He shares row 10.
Row 9 has Joe Lapsovich Jr.'s Tim Horton Camaro. He's ready to run.
Sean Grossman, the Markham Suites Camaro, currently 16th overall in the standings.
Chris Davies, 1990 Rookie of the Year, finished 13th last year. He starts in row 8.
Jeff Lapsovich, 10th in last year's overall standing, starts in row 8 in the other Tim Hortons car.
Norman Boyer, second overall in this year's rookie race. He's starting in row 7.
Jacques Liliev leads the 1991 rookie race and starts beside friend and rival Boyer on row 7.
Peter Cohen in the Margit Kiss Camaro captured third in Toronto in the last race.
Robin Buck finished last year's Cayuga race in third and starts the only Firebird here on row 6.
Claude Poirier says he enjoys learning the oval, starts his lesson on row 5.
Beside him, Doug Beatty Jr.'s EDS Camaro. They had an incident back at Shannonville this year.
John Cadman Sr. calls this track home, takes his son's spare car out. He'll start on row 4.
John Jr. starts beside his dad on row 4. Coming off a great win in Toronto, John will be looking for more points today.
Richard Spernard with the inverted grid starts on the 3rd row, even though he's our Sonoko Gold fastest qualifier.
Beside Richard, Rob Fellows, our current points leader, starts on the inside of row 3.
David Empringham, who won here last year, starts in row 2.
On the inside of row number 2, former champion in this series and Trans Am star, Ron Fellows.
The tight bounce car of Kenny Wilden, who led much of last year's event, will start on the front row.
Top Cat Terry Betts gets the pole position by qualifying 6th fastest by 1/1000th of a second.
And there is a happy Terry Betts. Happy, of course, to be the inside of row 1, ready to lead that field out on the warm-up laps, and our field begins to move away. Of course, Terry's still beaming because he did make it to the podium in Shannonville. Can he do it one more time here at Cayuga? We'll be back with the start of this Oval event, round 7, in the Players Limited GM Motorsports Series, right after this break. Welcome back to Cayuga Speedway, nestled in Ontario's farm community near Nell's Corners here in southern Ontario, and the action is right here on the track.
Field follows the pace car, Jim, readying for the start. This weekend we've had damp weather, cool temperatures. It's made it a very slippery track. The rubber's been washed away, so the drivers have to be really careful here at the beginning of the race before they have a chance to get some rubber down on the track.
You know, as I watch the field come through back of the pace car, the real story here has got to be the 3 big blue and gold Sonoko cars. You can't help but notice here, Eric, the 3 of them are lined up nose to tail on the inside. Strategically, I would say the best possible situation. We're talking the 1 3-car team we have here. You can't tell me there isn't going to be some teamwork out of this trio.
Absolutely. That's definitely going to be something to watch early on the race to see how they're able to hold back the rest of the field from getting closer up towards the front. And they all have radio communications as well.
They're saying to each other right now as they come around for that green flag. Look at this already. They're fanning out across. They've literally blocked off the track with a little bump. I think Ron Fellows has given Terry Betts that assist to get in front.
Here we go in car with Richard Spernard weaving, trying to get around. You can see him. That's Rob Fellows in front of him right now. And Rob looks like his car is very wide at this stage.
There's Terry Betts leading the field by as they try to put that first lap down, and it is still tight all the way around and side by side. Empringham and, of course, Rob Fellows. Oh, incident. That is Doug Beatty Jr. 11 into the wall, and Norman Boyer backing off it is the only other car involved. He could not get around Beatty's car.
Number 33, Joe Lapsovich Jr. just missed this one here, Jim, as we have a replay of the in-car camera.
Now, in the meantime, we've got Doug Beatty back in along pit road. The crew are working on the right rear. They've got to replace that tire, and they run front. There's Art Beatty sort of helping.
I don't care. Put air in it.
Yeah, Doug Beatty calling for air in that tire now. That's interesting because the tire pressures could be different on the corners of the car.
It's intense Doug Beatty here at Cayuga. Earlier, we asked the other drivers how they felt about this track.
Well, this is my first time on an oval track of any kind, and I got to tell you, it's a whole lot of fun. Like Days of Thunder was nothing compared to this.
Interesting.
That's about it. It's interesting. It's interesting, unique. Pretty much it.
Well, the Markham Suites lead auto collision race car is really comfortable at this track. We enjoy coming to Cayuga Speedway, and we're looking for a really good finish. It's always fun to race an oval. It's different than the road racing, and it's a nice change.
I like it. I love it. I love it. Very hard on the neck, but we'll do it.
Well, this race is always pretty crazy, I guess you could say. You either do really well or you get sent to the back and have a lot of fun trying to get back up to the front. So it should be a good one.
I like it once a year.
Thank you, David. A mixed bag of reactions, as you note there, among our drivers about this oval at Cayuga.
We now have found out exactly what we're going to be doing here, a total restart. Now that's going to allow Boyer and Beatty Jr. to take their original starting positions, a huge break for both of these drivers.
Okay, Norman Boyer already back in spot. Here's Doug Beatty Jr. Looking back from John Cadman Jr.'s car, and Doug Beatty is, yes, that universal racing language.
Yeah, international sign language being...
He's talking to Claude Poirier. He sits beside him, and I guess he feels Claude was maybe responsible for this incident earlier that, in fact, brought the Beatty car back into pit road. Fact is, all the cars did not complete the lap. We are looking now at race time. So forget about what you've seen so far, folks. The yellow, the incidents earlier. Now the field comes out one more time, and there will be a total restart here.
Not only is this a great break for these drivers that were involved in the incident, but a great break for the fans. They get to watch a second start here today.
What's interesting about that Beatty-Poirier confrontation, too, is actually the guys are buddies. The two of them taught, if I recall, at the Motorsports racing school for a while. But, boy, when it comes down to race time, as we watch the duo here, and this time Doug is sitting beside John Cadman Jr., but there's Claude Poirier just coming into position. Let's have a look at the point standings one more time.
Rob Fellows leads the point standings overall, 515 points. Kenny Wilden second. Richard Spinard sitting in third. John Cadman Jr. fourth. David Embergham's got to be a surprise, way down there with 395 points currently.
We will be back with the start after this. Welcome back in the Players Limited GM Motorsports Series to the Cayuga Oval, celebrating their 25th anniversary as a race facility this year, by the way. So congratulations to the entire Slack family. They got a great facility here in Southern Ontario.
As we await the restart, we go in car here with John Cadman, looking back at Doug Beatty Jr. Look at him just pounding away at the rear of the car here.
Okay, got a green flag and a restart, and this time the Sonoko team did not pull off the fan across the track. The others were more ready, I think, for the gang come this restart. And as a result, well, mind you, it's still Terry Betts leading down into corner 1 and 2, and Ron Fellows tucking in there. But Kenny Wilden, tide bounce entry, stays on the side, maybe riding a little too high though, Eric.
Yeah, he seems to be caught out there on the outside of the track, which is not a good place to be here at Cayuga.
Ronnie Schell, last car by. We're back with our race leader looking back at the fight for second place. The orange car, Kenny Wilden for tied, and beside him, Ron Fellows, leaving the Trans Am Wars to have a little fun again in the Players Limited GM Series, and he shows his knowledge, I guess, Eric. He goes low, grabs it, and Kenny now, in fact, will be taken by Rob Fellows, and maybe John, no, look at this, Spinard may even get by.
Yeah, Kenny Wilden is not in a good spot on this track. He's got to get inside in that line.
Grossman went very high, in fact, coming out of that corner. You really don't want to be that high on the track. It's the old story at ovals where all the marbles are going to build up a little more toward the wall, so try to stay away from them, especially in the corner.
Number 17, that orange car, Kenny Wilden, continues to be pushed out towards the outside and back.
Let's go in car with Richard Spinard. Okay, here's the reigning champion in this race at the oval, running fourth. He comes in, has a go at Rob Fellows, looks at the inside. Nope. How about just head on? Now, maybe the left. No, we'll go back to the right here. I'll tell you, Rob applies a little brake. He's not going to let Spinard through.
Now, Richard Spinard, the number 1 car we're in car with here, is one of the masters, not only here, but almost at every track. And look at the precision of the way he's driving. And actually, we can't really see if there's a lot of contact, but there's very little anyway.
You want to get the nose in there, I think, Eric, but you don't really want to touch or tap the guy in front because you're literally assisting them in an oval race situation.
I think the drivers really have to trust one another here. And here we go in car now with number 87, Duckworth.
Well, Paul Duckworth has never been on an oval before. He's running in that rookie category this year, and it's interesting to watch how the rookie deals with it. He's following last year's rookie here, Chris Davies. Norman Boyer, very knowledgeable racer, by the way, in some other race categories as well as this. He's having a go in the Camaro this year, but Normand is showing the oval is a bit of a problem for him as well.
It would be good for Paul Duckworth to get involved, get hooked up with somebody who's got more experience to kind of follow around the track. That would probably help him a lot.
He may learn a bit of Chris Davies. Notice how Normand Boyer keeps diving down to the inside. Normand is doing what he can to try to gain another notch a little further back here, but not too successfully. Duckworth, the game kind of falls off the pace a little bit. He's learning as he goes. These guys are not. We're back with the race leaders, and look at this now. John Cadman Jr. decides I'll try it on the outside. And look at this. They are door handle to door handle. There's a little bodywork rubbing there.
David Embringham having all kinds of problems getting around John Cadman.
Well, Embringham decides, okay, John, I'm going to try it on the high side. In the meantime, Kenny Wilton isn't sure which of those two to follow. And we're back in car with John Cadman Jr. and looking at this fight. Motomaster entry comes right up on Cadman Jr. A little bit of a tap there. And again, Embringham dives to the inside, and again they tap coming down the straightaway. These two have got the best fight happening in the race right now.
Now, with the Motomaster team, just to take note, the number 1 car is Richard Spinard. They both look the same, and number 2 is David Embringham.
That is number 2, the white-plated David Embringham Motomaster entry, clearly by John Cadman Jr., number 71. So Emp moves up a notch, followed by Robin Buck and Kenny Wilden. Richard Spinard still chasing fellows, and we chatted with Richard earlier about his race strategy today.
If you can keep the pace of the leader without using your car, you're going to be in better shape for passing in the future toward the end of the race. So you have to take it as it comes. You know, you just can't plan everything ahead and expect to do it.
Well, Richard's thoughts are try to save the car. Patience, I guess, making a difference. He didn't really show that on this track here last year, Eric, when he and Kenny Wilton made contact, and in fact both were eliminated from any possibility of a good finish. We go in car now with Richard as he continues his fight on the oval.
Chasing Rob Fellows now, and Rob Fellows also part of that 3-car team. That's the only group that have actually a 3-car team, and that really helps the drivers a lot because they can compare notes and set up the car properly.
I think maybe at this point Richard is in fact not hurrying things. He wants to play the game right in 1991, so he's not going to rush his attack here, but certainly stays well within view. In the meantime, I'm amazed that Ron Fellows is really having a go at Terry Betts, who's currently leading. Now, I would have thought, we talk about race strategies here, Eric, that it would have been Ron Fellows sitting in third, acting as the block for the Sonoko team. We'll see what happens.
Now, they are racing out there. Obviously, they're competitors, too. But even though they are competitors, they're teammates, and they do share a lot of information.
In car with Paul Duckworth. He's running 17th. Would love to be 16th. He's got Chris Davies out in front of him. It's interesting that these cars running a little further back in the field, and just as vicious a race really is what's happening up front. They do share a lot of information as well, because it's not only the driver learning here, Eric. Oh, and Paul learns a little something right there, but it's the teams learning, too, about setup and that sort of thing. How do you attack an oval? They're learning as each event goes by this year.
Here we have our leaders coming through. This Sonoko team is working beautifully, and earlier we asked Terry about the advantage of being on a team.
Oh, I think most definitely. There's 2 other drivers out there that care about each other and that are looking out for each other. I mean, we race and we'll race hard, but I can count on them not to do anything foolish, and they can count on the same from me. So, you know, out of the top 6 cars, to have 3 Sonoko cars is a big advantage for us.
And it is, in fact, the 3 Sonoko cars out front, as Embringham, a little further back, sitting at about 5th, I think was having a look at his teammate, Richard Bernard, thinking just for a moment, maybe I'll try to get by Richard and I'll have a go at these Sonoko guys.
It's definitely a photo opportunity with these 3 Sonoko cars running 1, 2, and 3, and then the Motomaster team right behind them.
Looking back from the Betts entry again, leading this event at Cayuga. You can bet Terry has got Ron Fellows, and Ron, it looks like he dived down to the inside. Maybe he was going to have a go, thought better of it, and says, no, I'll let my teammate lead for another lap or so.
And with these showroom stock cars, Jim, there's not very many modifications that are allowed either, so it makes it even tougher for setup.
And for a change, Terry Betts leading the Sonoko trio after 12 laps here at Cayuga. Then John Cadman Jr., a surprising 6th place, running further back than we thought he would. Our leading rookie is Jacques Liliev here, sitting in 12th spot. And some of the rest of our field. We'll be back with more race action in a moment. Welcome back. It's the Players Limited GM Motorsports Series Eastern Division 7th round from Cayuga Speedway in Southern Ontario, and the Sonoko 3-car team, followed by the Motormaster team. So the teams are dominating at this stage of the race.
Here's your leader, 39-year-old Terry Betts, finished second this year in Shannonville. That was his first podium finish ever. Still looking for career victory number 1 this time around.
And right behind Terry, Ron Fellows, back in the Players GM Wars from the Trans Am Series in the States, our former series champion, brother of our third car there, which is Ron Fellows. Now we're looking back from Terry Betts, our race leader. Ron Fellows bobbing back and forth, has a look down at the inside again, but got a feeling that the team strategies are very much at play here. And I don't know. I'm still amazed, I guess, that number 3, which is Ron Fellows, will be sitting back as the third in the trio.
A little bit of a surprise. I don't think you're going to see any pushing or shoving with these cars here. I mean, they team orders at least say that they do not get into an incident with one another.
I say Ron Fellows running very smoothly, but he has got Richard Spinard right on him. The Motomaster entry, and all Richard is waiting for is a bump. Oh, look at this! Now Rob goes by and Ron pulls in. Well, now maybe the strategy we referred to earlier, Eric, is beginning to shape up here, sort of now that we're well into the race.
Former champion number 36, Ron Fellows, never pulls over to let anybody by. Very aggressive driver. And earlier, we asked him about that aspect.
So that's where you're going to see some contact. If I've gotten my nose up on somebody's quarter panel, it's going to stay there. And if they come down on top of me, I'm going to hit them. You know, I'm not going to back off.
I think Ron Fellows looks forward to, oh, look at this. Talk about bumping. Yes, now, I was just going to say, I think Ron Fellows looks forward to the old dicing days here with Richard Spinard in number 1, the Motomaster entry, and it's happening. And again, David Embringham, the number 2 Motomaster entry, is hoping to maybe take advantage of that if these two guys decide to have a go at each other.
That's a very fine line, too. They consider it chopping or closing the door on another driver. You know, the driver's behind has really got to get his nose tucked in, and if he gets in far enough, then the other driver ahead has really got to pull over and let him have some space.
Well, there's Didier Scrennan, the number 94 car. Actually, with Didier, he is leading a 3-car battle here with Sean Grossman and Paul Duckworth. They got their own fight happening a little further back. Interesting man because he's does the TV color commentary for a lot of this race activity. He's a radio broadcaster, of course. Went from that to motor racing, but I think he's having a great day today.
That red, yellow, and blue number 94 car. He hasn't a lot of experience on ovals, but he's been doing well so far, started in the 10th row.
Let's go back in our Sony entry. Paul Duckworth at the wheel. He's having a go at this young man, Sean Grossman, directly in front of him. And Duckworth now, I think he's getting a little more confident here. As I pointed out earlier, it's Paul's first time on an oval. But now he goes down to the inside. He's determined this time to get by Grossman. He wants to pull himself up a notch. No, Sean is not going to let him by easily.
Something to note here, the drivers may be inexperienced on the track, but something else that they have to be concerned with is they have to have experience in telling the mechanics how to set up the car properly and how the car feels.
We've already stressed that for the young competitors here today and their teams, it really is a learning experience. For this gang, the Sonoko crew, a good example running out front, the Motomaster team as well, and some others in this field. They've been here before. They've got a little more knowledge reset up, I guess, and it's so finite, Eric. I mean, you're dealing with split seconds and miniature amounts of air and so on.
They will usually keep a book on the specifications of how the car was set up last year, and hopefully they can have a place to start with this year when they come back to the same track.
Well, whatever that secret to setup is, I tell you, this Sonoko McKenzie team running out front, all three of them, they have got the secret here at Cayuga today. Maybe we can learn about that.
We have to do a drastic change in tire pressures because we're doing basically all left-hand corners here. We add more camber, which is we change the angle of the outside front wheel so that it leans in quite a bit, so that when the car is a lot of weight is placed on the right front corner, it adheres to the track and the wheel is basically upright. Whereas the inside left front wheel, we angle it with what's called positive camber, so that basically both wheels are straight up when the front end's loaded.
Single most important element in setup is tires, and all these cars running on stock Goodyear, so tire pressures become critical.
Well, right now the right side is taking a beating, and the left side's basically getting an easy ride. The right tires
run very, very hot as compared to the left side tires. So we have to make sure that the tires we use are harder on the outside so that they can stand up to the heat that'll be put through them in a 55-lap race. It's a wild setup as compared to any of our road courses we do. With the road courses, it's a fairly neutral setting where the car will turn both ways fairly easy. Here, it basically will make left-hand turns.
Interesting that man, Kurt Robinson, is the man who set up the Motormaster cars, who won here at Cayuga last year, and has also done setup, by the way, on one or two of the other entries here today. But for the 3 Sonoko cars out front, it's working perfectly.
Yeah, we should maybe mention the Sonoko team. They look the same, so it's very tough. We're in car now with number 6, Terry Betts. The other cars in that team, number 3, Rob Fellows, who's leading the point standings currently, and number 36, brother Ron Fellows, who was a previous champion in this series. He's running a limited schedule in this series this year, so the points aren't as important to him as they are for Terry Betts and number 3, Rob Fellows.
Can't help but wonder what the team strategy has got to be here. Certainly Terry Betts would love to have a victory this year, but the fact is our point leader at this stage still has not had a win either, and that is Rob Fellows, who's sitting in second place. Is the team going to say, come on, let's give Rob a win today? That's going to be some of the main drama we'll be watching here as long as this 3 can stay in front.
Battle for 11th now heats up with number 11, Doug Beatty Jr. Got a big break on that restart earlier on in the race. I mean, he should have been starting at the back of the grid, so he's very, very fortunate in that case.
And I think, too, Doug Beatty Jr. running back in this fight for 11th place right now has suffered a little bit of damage when he went to that wall earlier, obviously. It's affecting the performance in his Camaro. Jacques Liliev, currently leading in the rookie wars, is right up on Beatty's tail. Then young Peter Cohen, who had a marvelous run at the Toronto Indy, not having quite that success here in the Oval at Cayuga today.
Doug Beatty Jr. sitting currently 11th overall in the standings, and right behind him, Jacques Liliev sitting in the number 12 spot overall in the standings, that is.
Beatty is by Liliev, Cohen, Norman Boyer. Actually, Doug Beatty Jr. holding up that entire Quebec contingent. They may start getting a little upset about this situation and have a go at him before long. Now, as you see our back marker here, there's Shell going by. The race leaders are coming up on him. You know what may become a factor as we get toward the end of this event is, or the latter half of it, is will traffic become a factor?
And who can maneuver through traffic better? Here we're looking back from number 6, Terry Betts. He's our leader, and there's the rest of the Sonoko team.
That exciting on-track action from the Sony in-cars coming from Richard Spinard, Terry Betts, Chris Davies has a camera, so does Jeff Lapsevich, Joe Lapsevich carrying one, as well as Ron Fellows, John Cadman Jr. and Paul Duckworth. In fact, let's go in-car with Lapsevich here. Number 22 is Jeff, and he is right up on Norman Boyer, and Cohen just ahead of Boyer. So an interesting little fight for the Tim Horton crowd here as we follow Lapsevich for a while.
In some cases, more than one car can move faster than one car alone, breaking up the wind. Kind of a drafting situation here.
I think Boyer is going to have some success against Cohen here. Boyer working wisely on the inside of the track at Cayuga, and I think he gets by, in fact. Lapsevich may follow through as well. Just a little out of our view off to the right-hand side, but we know that Cohen is in there fighting somewhere.
Indeed, they're all fighting for positions, points, and let's not forget, importantly, a little bit of money as well. Nobody's going to give up a spot in this race anywhere.
Let's check out the standings. 24 laps are now complete at Cayuga. Terry Betts, Rob Fellows, Ron Fellows, the Sonoko entries are out in front. The Motormaster team finish up the top 5. Then John Cadman Jr. on through the rest of our field. Top rookie still is Jacques Liliev. He's running in 12th place, hanging on to that. And then the rest of the field. We'll be back with the race action after this break. We're back at the Cayuga Speedway for round 7 of the Eastern Division of the Players Limited GM Motorsports Series, and the Sonoko team 1, 2, 3 are out front, scooting by Ron Shell, the white car, one of the back markers, in fact the back marker right now.
Yeah, we should, good thing to mention that too, because they were not passing Ron Shell for position. That white car on the inside of the track there is the slower car, so they've lapped him now.
And the Motormaster team, in fact, get by safely. We thought traffic might be a problem, but it really is not, at least at this stage.
Congratulations to Terry Betts, our Goodyear mid-race leader. He picks up a set of Goodyear Eagle radial tires.
About the first time this year that Terry's run away with the GT Gatorbacks. You'll be excited about that. In fact, another lap or two, they may need them here at Cayuga.
Nice job Terry's been doing, too. He sits 7th overall in the standings, and he's been holding his own, setting the pace here at Cayuga.
I would think the tires are wearing a little bit by this stage of the race, and that's why I'm wondering if the Spinard philosophy is going to eventually kick in here. We note Richard, of course, hard at work on his teammate, David Embringham. We go in car with Ron Fellows. He's sitting in 3rd place. He is, in fact, the wall. Oh, and look at this. And now we're going to get a change out front. Ron is watching his brother go by Terry Betts.
It almost looks as if Terry Betts here, he hits the brakes. Look at that. I think he just pulled over and let Rob through.
Well, I think it's now definite what the team orders are as far as the Sonoko trio are concerned here. It is time to give Rob Fellows a victory in 1991. He leads the series, the championship, but has not had a win yet, an incident.
Number 7, Chris Davies. Looks like he's taking an off-road excursion. We go in car now with him, Jim.
Okay, he comes up on Jeff Lapsevich. That is Nomad Boyer, the Septic Nord entry. And, oh, there's a definite contact between Lapsevich and Chris Davies. Chris comes right around. I think Lapsevich must have gone out of it as well. Chris heads for the grass. I think from here now he'll try to get back to pit road. One more replay.
My goodness, somebody came very, very close to him, hitting him there, but avoided him. We can see what car it is behind him.
There's Lapsevich into the wall, and there's Chris Davies. And, oh, look at this, DJ Scranton. Marvelous move getting around Chris.
Just a beautiful, beautiful job of avoiding that collision.
Okay, the Jeff Lapsevich point of view. Bang, into the wall he goes. And, no, he corrects it, and Jeff does, in fact, carry on. And here comes Chris Davies into the pits.
I want to get out before these guys. Okay.
Just a quick check of the bodywork there, I guess, on Chris Davies' car, but he wants to get out there before the entire field goes around once more. He does not want to lose that lap.
I think I got a ticket for that once at a stop sign. I'm not sure he even stopped there. Here's Jeff Lapsevich. He's made it back. The whole front end is up. A lot of body damage there.
In car now with number 71, John Cabin Jr. finished 2nd here last year, his home track, and he's the subject of our players' profile today.
He followed me around from racetrack to racetrack. He couldn't keep him off. We used to have to hide him in the trailer because he was too young to get in the pits, and we used to have to hide him there so until it got dark. So then we'd bring him out and hide him in a corner because otherwise they would have kicked him out of the pits.
John Jr.'s earliest dreams are of wanting to be a race car driver.
Well, when you're 6 years old, I don't think you really have any idea of what it takes to become a good race car driver, and the involvement and the effort you have to put in to be successful. At that age, you're just too young to fathom anything like that. And as you get older, 10, 11, 12, you think, even when the age is up to 14 and 15, you're watching and watching, you think, I can do that. That doesn't look that hard. As soon as you get in the race car, you realize it's a totally different experience than what you probably expected earlier.
But John Cadman has been lucky to have his dad as a teacher and a teammate, someone to constantly help and encourage him.
Dad is never there to jump all over me and say, look, you're doing this wrong, and what's wrong with you? Aren't you using your head? He's always there with constructive criticism for me, and he's trying to help me in any way he can with his advice and his experience. And sometimes I may disagree with him, but usually we come to a compromise between the two of us, and we can easily solve the problem.
He has done very well, and I'm very pleased, and he certainly made me very proud father, and I really love to see him win, more so than myself anymore, if I've got any wins left in me, you know. I was with Motorsports the last race, and in fact I was checking the scoreboard to see where he was when I was going through 1 and 2, so I was more interested in what he was doing than I was doing what I was doing myself, so I'm very keen on what he's doing and what his future is in racing.
Whatever John Cadman Jr.'s future is in racing, you can be sure that his dad will never be far from his side, there to share John's new world.
I hope he is, and I hope he reaches those other worlds.
We're back, still under a yellow caution flag, the second of the day, Jim.
Well, let's run down the field for you while we have a little pause. Rob Fellows, the new race leader. Terry Betts right on him. Then Ron Fellows. There's the Sonoko team out front. Then it's David Embringham and Richard Spinard. John Cadman Jr., Robin Buck, Kenny Wilden coming by. There's Claude Poirier, the white car, John Cadman Sr. So Dad is still in there in that top 10. Ronnie Schell is a lap down. That's the white car. We're looking at Chris Davies there, of course, number 7, as he goes by, too, sitting a little further back. In fact, he's our, well, not quite the back marker. Here come the Lapceviches, the 2 Tim Horton cars, as the leaders come through, and we're now back to the green, back to racing at Cayuga.
And the 3 Sonoko entries certainly did not make a mistake on that restart.
Oh, another incident here. That's Chris Davies, number 7, and Paul Duckworth, our Sony entry, and the 2 of them bring them around. Well, let's have a look at this from Chris Davies' point of view.
He tucks on the inside. He's ready to pass on the inside here, as we notice, and it looks like number 87 Duckworth just did not give him any room at all.
Well, it looked like Paul Duckworth might have been involved in a little chopping situation there where he came down, tried to take the corner, and Chris Davies was there.
Well, that's the second incident in as many laps for number 7 Chris Davies.
39 of those laps are down. Our race leaders remain the same. John Cadman Sr. looking pretty good there, still running in 10th spot. I love the trio of rookies, Jacques Liliev, Norman Boyer, Didier Scranton. They're running in order. It should start getting frantic up front, and we'll be back for it after this. We're back at Cayuga under yellow because of the Chris Davies Paul Duckworth incident just prior to our break. It's round 7, our Players Limited GM Motorsports Series, and field are in order, getting set for a restart. This should be wild.
Paul Duckworth trying to catch up with the rest of the field now. I believe he'd be sitting in last spot now, and a little bit of a tap.
Oh, a tap. Oh, definite word to Chris Davies that Paul Duckworth was behind him. We got a green flag and back to race tempo at Cayuga. The Sonoko trio still out front.
We can see the battle for 11th here as they come through the screen. Doug Beatty Jr. trying to hold off Jacques Liliev, Norman Boyer, and Didier Scranton.
Now, is this going to be the stage of the race where Richard Spinard had made mention earlier of patience? Has he had enough today? Is he about to make a move? Is this Motormaster team going to do anything? Can they do anything against this Sonoko wall that is in front of them? What I love is what is happening here. Ron Fellows, here, number 36, the Sonoko entry, doing everything he can to keep that Motormaster crowd back and protect his brother who's out front, Terry Betts. But now Motormaster have a go.
Number 2, David Ebringham, there he gets. He's trying to push number 36, that Sonoko entry, up on the high part of the track, which is not where Ron Fellows wants to be.
You know, we talked about the patience that Richard Spinard had spoken of earlier. I think they've given up on that. They've decided now we've got to attack. Let's face it, the Sonoko gang have dominated all day, and now we've got Ebringham ahead of Ron Fellows, and it is Richard Spinard now up on Ron. Will Richard get by? No patience now. Let's go at him.
Richard Spinard desperately wanted to follow his teammate through and past Ron, but could not do it.
Oh, look at this, though. Ron Fellows is fighting back. We're talking a veteran of these sedan wars, and now let's go in car with Spinard. Might be a better view of what Ron Fellows is up to here. Is he going to fight his way back by David Ebringham, or is Spinard going to take advantage? This is where the bobbles may happen now. The whole gang are getting serious. We've been letting this trio in front get away with too much. No, no, now Ron Fellows does some elbowing.
Ron Fellows now on the bottom part of the track, trying to push Ebringham to the high part of the track. That's exactly where Ron wants to be.
Well, it worked for him. He got by David Ebringham, so now Ron Fellows safely back in 3rd spot. Ebringham sitting in 4th.
The Motormaster team has to be frustrated at this stage of the game. Sonoko team, the 3 blue cars out in front have done almost everything right, and they've done nothing wrong. And with the Motormaster cars, number 2 and number 1 back there, they've been waiting patiently for something to go wrong. It hasn't.
Let's go back in car with number 87, Paul Duckworth, the Sony entry. He's watching Chris Davies, the fight for 16th, 17th place. Chris on the inside. Oh, and Lapcevich waves at him. Not happy with... Oh, and Chris comes in and gives him another little tap. Or did Lapcevich come over to give him a tap? They're both trying to get around Ronnie Schell, who, in fact, is another lap down.
Yeah, Ron Schell is not a factor in this. In other way, he's moved to the front, to the high part of the track to kind of let them go through.
The driver progression rather interesting. After 49 laps, here are the gang that have really been performing today. Didier Scranton from 20th to 14th, Grossman from 18th to 15th, Claude Poirier from 11th up to 9th place. So some dramatic moves have been happening in the midfield there.
Robin Buck making a huge charge to the field as well, in that he holds the race record at this track.
Back to the race leaders. It is Rob Fellows seeking victory number 1 in 1991. Of course, Terry Betts wouldn't mind that win either. He is sitting in second place. It's brother Ron holding off the Motomaster crowd one more time.
These teams have a chance to come to an oval only once during the year, and it's a different driving style than a road course, which they're usually on. David Everingham chasing Ron Fellows has been extremely aggressive today, and he discusses a unique driving style on oval tracks.
Left foot braking is very crucial on the oval track here at Cayuga because it's very important to keep the weight distribution of the car equal. Traditionally on road circuits, we use the accelerator with our right foot and we brake with our right foot. The problem with that here is if we do that, weight transfer to the front, the back end gets very light and the car wants to come around you in the corner. So what we do in the oval is use left foot braking. When we go into the corner, we push the brake pedal with our left foot while keeping the power at least at half throttle, and this squats the rear end and keeps the car very neutral and hence lets you corner much faster.
And for 55 laps here at Cayuga, of course, they're running strictly third gear, which makes all that possible, as David had just explained.
It might make things a little bit easier for them in the car, but the fact of the matter is the Motomaster team has got a lot of work to do to finish on the podium here today.
Watching David Everingham, number 2 Motomaster entry, right up on Ron Fellows. I am wondering if Terry Betts hasn't slowed down a little bit, and is Ron going to have to make a decision here about getting by Terry, let him be the blocker, let him worry about the Motomaster team. I just get the feeling here that maybe Terry's backed off a touch. Tires might be going, brakes might be going, could be some contributing factors.
Well, so far the team strategy seems to have worked for the Sonoko team. The Motomaster team just can't seem to do anything to get by Ron Fellows. Now they've waited patiently, and as we saw a couple of laps back, number 2 David Everingham tried to mix things up. He still sits in 4th spot.
David has got to get that nose in. He's going to try it one more time on the inside here. No, Ron Fellows will not let him. He cuts down and cuts him off once more. Not jumping by any means. He's got the line, so David has got to be careful here when he does make his move. Gets up very tight on him on the straightaway and tries once more. You don't want to tap the rear of the car because he'll be helping him. There you are. You catch a corner, try to throw him off balance, but Ron Fellows a little too crafty to have lost it there.
But a beautiful move. Number 2 David Everingham pushed Ron Fellows right at the top of the track, and here he is. He grabs 3rd spot.
Well, Ron gave him a little tap there. Spinard was hoping to get by and follow his teammate through, but Ron would not allow that. Oh, and bring him into the wall.
He hits the wall, and look at the Sonoko team cheering as Ron gets that position back.
Oh, yeah, but look at David Everingham is coming back as well, and in the meantime, Spinard tries to get down. No, Everingham, in fact, cuts off his teammate.
Now Spinard is getting nervous here. Watch number 1 of the Motomaster team. He's now taking on his teammate.
Well, the two of them are now side by side, and maybe it's here that Richard Spinard has said, okay, that's it, David. My turn to have a go. John Cadman, meanwhile, wants to keep an eye on these two. Maybe he can follow through.
John Cadman had a 2nd place finish here last year as well.
Richard Spinard on the inside. David Everingham on the outside. The Motomaster team side by side. John Cadman Jr. has to make a decision. Will he follow Spinard through? Is Everingham going to win? The Motomaster team seem to be a little bit in disarray here. Which man is going to take charge?
I don't think there are any rules, any team rules left anymore. Spinard goes on the inside.
John Cadman Jr. again deciding to follow Spinard. Robin Buck and Kenny Wilden decide the same thing. We're going to stay on John Cadman's tail.
With all this dicing that the Motomaster team number 1 and number 2 are doing, this is enabling the entire Sonoko team to move a little bit ahead.
As a result, in fact, Rob Fellows is now well out in front. And look at this on the last lap. John Cadman Jr. looking inside, getting right up on David Everingham. No, he's not. He can't even push him out of the way.
But I think it's safe to assume now that victory is going to go to this man right here. Number 3, Rob Fellows, the first of 91.
Rob Fellows coming out of the 4th and final corner at Cayuga. Arm in the air. The checkered flag waves. Victory goes not only to Rob Fellows, this entire Sonoko team. What a day.
What a day indeed for the Sonoko team, and our victor, Rob Fellows, adding to his points lead. We'll be back with more. We're back with a very happy Rob Fellows holding his first checkered flag of the year. Here's Alan Chapman, series director, and congratulations, of course, with a hug and a kiss. Another happy Fellows has got to be brother Ron, who scored a 3rd place and probably the hardest job keeping the Sonoko cars 1, 2, and 3 today.
Well done, Terry.
And it certainly was a great day for the entire Sonoko McKenzie team here on the Oval. They thought they had the proper car set up for today's race. I think they certainly showed it today. Here's a look at the rest of the race results. Rob Fellows first, Terry Betts second, Ron Fellows third, Richard Spenard, David Embringham, John Cadman Jr., Robin Buck, a great job starting in 14th spot, and Doug Beatty Jr. winning that battle for 11th. Now down to Jim Paulson.
Pretty obvious what my job was today. The goal was, we worked very hard to get the cars handling well, and Rob especially, and Terry, and Harry Van Dinter, Kirk Robinson, Marc-Andre Caron, these guys, they worked real hard getting the cars perfect, all three of them. And Friday they said, hey, you should come qualify this thing, you'll probably help out. And that's how it worked out. The deal was 1, 2, 3, as you saw it, that's how we wanted to do it. It was tough for me, but well, I hung in there. Boy, it was a good race with David, though.
Well, you've learned something in these Trans Am wars, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's just as competitive in Trans Am, and it doesn't hurt to get a little practice here.
Your overall point standings look like this. Rob Fellows now with a nice lead over Richard Spenard. Kenny Wilden third. John Cadman Jr. fourth. Terry Betts in fifth spot. Here's Doug Beatty Jr. with 293 points.
Congratulations on winning the mid-race leader award on behalf of Goodyear Canada.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
I hope the spectators had as much fun as we did. That's a dream race.
Yeah, you led for a while.
Yeah, we led for a better part of the race. My car at the end was starting to get a tad loose, and Robbie was pretty close. So I let Ronnie go by to see if Robbie go by to make sure he could maintain his pace, and I was able to pretty well keep with him. It worked out just great, just the way we planned.
DJ, just a great race out there today. You're really charged from the back of the field. We're very proud of you, and on behalf of GM Parts Department, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to present you with a cellular phone. Thanks a lot. I will use that phone to make my live reports now on CKMF. And by the way, I want to thanks to Team Moto Pro and RDS. They have done a great job.
Was it a team order, or did you really beat up Terry here?
No, we always, our policy is for one team driver not to hold up the other one, and I felt like Terry was starting to lose some grip about halfway, and I could see Richard was maintaining the pace, closing up a bit, so it was time to go by, which is perfect team orders, and it works out for us. It works both ways. It works great.
Great victory today, Rob. You wanted it.
Fantastic. Couldn't be happier.
Brother Ron Fellows, a very happy man, as is the entire Fellows family.
I am. I'm very excited. It was wonderful. The start's always the worst part. Once they get going, it's a little easier on the family. But that ending was pretty good, too.
Well, there they are, the Big Blue on stage. Rob Fellows leading the triumvirate to victory, of course, in this 25th anniversary year at Cayuga. A great finish for this event, and of course, Rob solidifies his lead in the Players GM Motorsport Series. Can he hang on to it, though? There's more action to come on the GM Motorsport Hour. Do join us. This is the GM Motorsport Hour. Brought to you by Players Limited, General Motors of Canada Limited, Quality GM Parts, the expert choice, and by Sony, the one and only.